Test, 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 test one, two. Good morning, my people, fellow owner operators. It is that time, 9 a.m. We go live every day, put trucking content out there in front of everyone. Putting this information with like-minded individuals. Hold on one second here. A little bit of a delay. Uh, Here we go. That should do it. All right, guys. So here we go. Technical difficulties are over with here. All right. So putting good information in front of good people, owner operators to be, and current owner operators. That is what we do. So make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you get videos that come out every single day, rather Monday to Friday after 5 p.m. We share good content to make you more successful. And to all my owner operators out there, make sure 2290s, that date is coming due. So make sure you get them in there. Another thing too, guys, as a sidebar, I actually had a comment or had an individual that was reaching out to us to gather a little bit more information. If you're running with a current carrier and they're going to do your 2290 for you, please, please, please make sure that they do it in your name. So it's going to avoid a lot of headaches for you in the future if you're trying to get your plate or several different things that you may try to be doing. You just don't want to have that headache, especially if they're going to deduct it from you anyway. Just as a reminder, the price of a 2290 for the year is 550. And again, it's Schedule V as in Victor for the weight of 80,000 pounds. So again, if a carrier is willing to do it for you and help you through that process, that's cool. Just make sure that it's in your name. I know that's what we do here. We teach individuals how to get that done so that they have a valid 2290 in their name. So that's monumental. All right, it's those little things that make the difference. You know what I mean? You don't want any kind of surprises later and people in their feelings that they All right. Can you hear me now, Joe? Maybe. All right. So while we wait for him to respond, guys, so one of the biggest things that's going to happen on a partnership like this, we have had owner operators who, for whatever reason, no longer have a truck, but they're still staying in the game. And the beauty about it is they already have a relationship between the dispatcher and themselves. So they already that's already there. They know how they run. They know the habits. They know how to put money on the truck. And so a guy like Joe can step in and reap that benefit because all he's really doing is just putting the truck and making sure he's providing them with a good quality truck and handling the maintenance on all of that. So we will put you two guys in contact. You guys have to negotiate the pay rate and all that good stuff, and then we go from there. So Johnny, all right. So we got a comment here. What kind of trucks do we lease? So here's what we do. There are plenty of third-party vendors who are out there. We're not believers in a carrier offered lease purchase program. We believe that you should be going to like a Lone Mountain. LRM is one of them. SFI is another one. They have different types of programs, but the beauty about those is that they're all third-party leasing, and what that does is it allows you to port the truck wherever you want. So that's a major key factor for you as an owner operator. You want to make sure you're adjusting your business, right? You have that freedom. Um, so one of the additional things that you have to pay attention to is the barrier to entry. So everybody's a little bit different. So Johnny, if you take a look at, like, let's say Lone Mountain, 5,000, you get into a lease purchase and boom, it's like 1,700 a month with anything from like 300 up to, 3 to 400,000 miles. You're pretty much in a pretty good spot. LRM has different parameters, right? Maybe a little bit more down, but they may not run credit. So now your payment may be a little bit more. SFI is different. So you really want to check those programs out and see which one best fits you. But the carrier offered leases, the problem is that, no money down, sign and drive, man, like you're paying an arm and a leg every single week. We've seen astronomical payments for like $900 a week, man. That's just way too expensive for an owner operator. How do you survive with something like that? So you want to be paying attention to that. So again, we're putting information to connect you to the right resources so that you can make the right move and get yourself going as an owner operator. So that's what we do here. Give us a call, brother man, 863-342-5171. Make sure you guys smash that like button, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. It helps the algorithm push everything forward. All right, guys. So that's that comment right there. So hold up. So yeah. So we do have a hi. How you doing, Kaiser? What's up? How are you? Can you hear me? I'm sure you can. I fixed my IT issue. Okay. So going back to that, yeah, we have a few fleet drivers on our fleet, and it's a true partnership. A lot of the times there are the basic ways that guys are doing it is, they're allowing, you can either allow your driver to pick the loads again, but then he's got to be responsible for that outcome. And remember, financially, the truck has to get paid. Excellent, brother, man. The truck has to get paid, driver has to get paid, and you got to get paid. So a lot of the times, the best relationship where I find that these things work out with a fleet driver is going to be when they're forced dispatched. And the reason for that is because no, when it's a company driver, let's say that's the only experiences they have. It's not that it's a bad thing, but they don't really understand the cost to do business because it just hasn't been part of their itinerary, or it hasn't been part of their responsibilities rather. So how are they supposed to know, right? So that's how, happy birthday, brother. So that's how we look at it, right? So that company drivers forced dispatch, we would want to know the relationship on how you're going to pay that individual. Because imagine that, man. Like, if you're paying the guy by mile, then we got to play the mile game. If you're paying this guy by percentage, then the dispatcher has an ability to look for those short hops that pay high, right? So the mile's going to be low on something like that, but nevertheless, it's going to benefit your business. So that's why we would want to know exactly how you're going to pay the dude, so that we can strategize accordingly. And in orientation, all three of us are sitting there and we're all talking about what the strategy is. and how we're going to implement it so that everybody comes out on top and winning pretty much. All right. All right, which kind of leads to the first question, that people are asking, right? Before I jump into that, make sure you like, share, subscribe. It's important. It helps the algorithm put this in front of the right people, and you'll get notified of videos that we drop Monday to Friday after 5 o'clock. All right, so how does your dispatch team prioritize which trucks get the best loads? Is it based on seniority, performance, or first available? Everything, the beauty, so we are 100% owner operator, so I'll start with that. There are no company trucks to compete with, and we customize every single dispatch for the owner operator, because everybody's going to run differently, so they're always going to get the premium load based on the parameters that they run their business, right? So that's the beauty of it. Um, and and what we do here, it's going to be, you know actually performance, right? So it's going to be on the performance, because the guy, an owner operator is deciding how he's going to be performing, but that performance also allows the dispatcher to help build relationships with different brokers that are out there, and they're his customers, right? So showing up on time, all that good stuff, managing his logs appropriately, getting all the pictures, following all the policies and procedures with that. So all of that influences that outcome as well. So again, it's about that relationship. It's about working together. And I would have to say, if I had to answer, it is going to be performance. So here we go. How does your carrier handle slow freight seasons? Do you supplement with different freight types and adjust lanes? No, no. I think our dispatchers, uh, they do a very nice job of keeping a truck moving. And what happens is, I'm not gonna jump from dry van to flatbed, or flatbed to reefer, and just kind of chasing all that. That's not how I do it. Maybe other people have a little bit, maybe do something like that, but that's not what we do. So what we're gonna be doing is the following: dispatchers have a Rolodex of customers that they're working with, dedicated brokers. All of that is already there, and everything is predictable in regards to the seasonality of it. And so what they're going to be doing is moving your truck to those areas to keep you busy. I do need some versatility from the owner operator to make small adjustments, right? So that's what this is about. Nobody's going to control the market. We don't pretend to control the market. I say that all the time, but it is about making small adjustments so that you could remain consistent, and moving that truck, because that's the only way that your business will get cash flow. And as business owners, cash flow is king. Without that, we die. So here we go, guys. That's what's important. No, I hear you. If I understand, you offer driver and dispatch for the load, and lease to own program like package for you to get your percentage. I am really interested. Yeah, Joe. So the only thing, brother, yes, we could do all that. The only piece I'm not doing, you got to be able to get your own truck. We do have the resources, Joe, that you can find it. So Lone Mountain. Give me a call, 863-342-5171. Give me a call at 10 o'clock. I'll walk you through all that on some options that are out there. Very easy to get into, low barrier to entry. So here we go. Because I will say, man, the hardest spot of it is that driver. I think buying the truck nowadays is the easy part. Not that it's easy, but it's easier than finding that quality driver that's going to take care of your equipment, and be diligent and be consistent. So if you don't agree, let me know in the comments. If you do agree, let me know in the comments. What have been your experiences with drivers? Has anybody out there tried this before, and what caused the failure? Because at the end of the day, Joe, if you really think about it, if you're not a driver, the success of your business is actually depending on the guy or the gal that you haven't even met yet, because that's the person that's going to move that truck and generate the revenue for your business. So it's important that you pick somebody that is aligned with a quality carrier like ourselves. And especially if we've already have a relationship and it's already existing and we're moving, that's one less thing to worry about. So jump on that, and you definitely, that's definitely an advantage. All right. Um, who in your company has the final say in load disputes, and how quickly do they resolve the issues? All right. So I guess I don't know, man. I kind of feel like this question may be coming from a dark place or a bad experience or something like that. So it's not really disputes, man. Everything that we're actually doing here is business discussions, and this is just business. I don't control these rates, so I'm not going to apologize for them. You don't control them, you shouldn't be apologizing for them. But one thing that I'm not going to be doing is I'm not just going to be sitting here and bitching about the market. That's not going to generate any productivity for you, for me, for anybody. No one's going to win from that. What it is we just have to understand the rules of the game so we can win. It is what it is. It's about strategy. It's about playing chess and what's my next move. So at times you will be getting the options, the best options based on the current scenario at hand. All right. And that may look different. A shitty load today may be a really exact same load. Nothing changes. May be a really good load tomorrow because your situation is different, right? We got to look at your week holistically at the end of the week. Um, what are you going to be grossing on this truck? That's the name of the game. So moving you is based on being effective and efficient. And if we're busy arguing about what something should pay but it doesn't, then who is going to be winning? How does that solve a problem? How does that keep your truck moving? It's just I don't know. Everybody's confusing that movement for progress, and you're standing still talking about what we can't control. Just waste of time, everybody's time. All right. So next, do you have a long-term contract with shippers or most freight in the spot market? Yeah. So for sure, my guy's been doing this for a very, very long time. Guy's been with the company 10 years plus, and or creeping on there. So definitely seasoned dispatchers. They do have those magical relationships that will help you. But the drivers got to do their part because, this is where I say teamwork, and I don't just mean it like, oh, like tree hugging, let's be a team. No, it affects us, right? Your behavior affects the outcome. My behavior affects the outcome. So let's be responsible for that. A dispatcher will put you onto some of those rotations, but you can't burn that bridge for them. You got to be diligent on what you're doing because if you're burning that bridge, then the other drivers that are on those lanes and all of that now no longer have access to that. So it comes with a level of responsibility as well. So everyone, please make sure you like, share, subscribe, and drop your comments and questions in the chat. We welcome that. And if not, share this also with people that are looking for this type of information. Hopefully, they get value out of it and subscribe. And don't forget to hit that bell icon so you get the videos we drop after 5 o'clock Monday to Friday. All right, guys, here we go. I got 9 people in this chat up here and only 4 likes. Hook a brother up. Guys, smash that like button. Give me that thumbs up. It will help the algorithm. So, all right, here we go. What's your policy on rate transparency in freight that is booked through multiple brokers before reaching you? So, man, this really comes up a lot. This is like a really hot topic. I kind of feel like maybe it's this week or something like that, or who knows. But anyway, yeah, we're fully transparent from A to Z. You're gonna meet us from the day of the orientation. You'll meet somebody from every department, and transparency to the specific question right here. We provide original rate confirmation. That's why every single raycon that you're getting is going to look a little bit different. And the reason for that is because not every broker has the same rate confirmation. There is no need to change it into a Voyager rate confirmation and change anything. We'll email you directly or we'll forward you the email from the customer so that you have it right in front of you. Because at the end of the day, it is what it is. There's nothing you can do behind that except be transparent. So remember, I actually had a few guys talk about that. And one of the things where you can, if you surround yourself with people who aren't giving you the original Raycon, or surround yourself in that environment, just remember, like, a good sign is like if the company is allowing you to, for example, get more hours on your ELD, and they just call Bolivia, Colombia, whatever, and magically you get some more time. So just check your environment, man, because if they're willing to cheat there, What do you think? They just stop there? Now they have some kind of moral compass that, like, okay, that's as far as we'll go. Probably not, guys. So double check those Raycons, confirm it. There should be a phone number right at the top. Like, there you go. So you have access to technology, make a phone call, double check. So I'm just saying. All right. So we continue to the next one. Um, uh, do you require a non-compete clause that prevent me from working with your no, there's no non-compete, man. Nothing like that. Again, it's about an individual is allowed to move around and protect their business. And if a carrier isn't a fit for you, you should have the freedom to leave and do something different. But you just have to keep in mind that if you do leave, right? Why are you leaving? Make sure that it has value to it, because every time you do leave from one carrier to the other, it will cost you money. So the very reasons that you should be leaving, you should be asking where you're going, because you don't want to be doing it frequently. So you want to have a clear understanding. Are you even solving your solution? Is your expectation for the reason of leaving reasonable within the market? So these are pretty tough conversations, because sometimes you're putting in long miles, man. I've seen it before. It's just a bad day overall, man. Just a couple things, like, just two, three things happen in one day, and just kind of pissed, man. And you think that leaving is just kind of the solution. I need to change, right? But what are you changing for? What's really different out there? So a lot of it is, I talk about, like, like, let's say Florida local guys, right? Just kind of job hopping. I've met people in the game for, like, 7, 10 years and so forth, right? And they're leaving because of a rate. Well, Florida has a rate. That's it. That's what time it is. Like, it's not like somebody got magical loads that pay this absorbent amount of money. The market only pays a certain amount in that sector. And so at some point, job hopping for that amount of time, don't you think you would have found it by now? No. So I mean, you would have. So here we go. So you guys, we have to understand, a certain market is going to yield a certain type of settlement for individuals. So what I say is lining up yourself for other reasons, not just that. You know what I mean? You want to know how does this company have my back? What are the things that they're offering me? The compliance team, the safety, the programs. What type of support am I getting? Is my truck constantly always moving, or am I, do I work one day and not the other because there's no freight? They pay really good, but I only work 3 days out of the week, and then they don't pay really good because you're not generating enough cash flow. So I think you want to look at those facts rather than just the rate. You want to consider the totality of your situation before you just start job hopping. But no, not compete, man. You're a business owner, and we go from there. All right. If you choose to leave, how quickly do you release escrow funds? And can I see that in writing? Yeah, yeah, for sure. Everything's in the contract, so we keep things simple. We don't want to overcomplicate trucking. It's already complicated as it is, right? So here we go. Actually, maybe trucking is actually not even that hard. It's pretty simple. I think we are in the people business, so because we're in the people business, things get complicated. So it's probably more in the lines of that. But anyway, based on transparency, it doesn't just end for Voyager at giving you the original Raycon. Our contracts are very easy. For the most places are like that thick. Ours is very easy to read and straightforward, right to the point. As a matter of fact, in orientation, we're highlighting exactly that. No one's hiding behind any verbiage or anything like that. Um, 90 days, 90 business days, and your escrow gets released. Some people be like, man, why so long? Well, there's a couple incidentals that have to get taken care of, right? Our toll violation is gonna start popping up. Uh, Underpayments, perhaps from a broker from not tracking, missing BOLs. There are a couple IFTA reporting, right? Calculation of the IFTA. So there are a couple things that have to get addressed before that happens. It's just business as usual. So, but again, it's transparent inside there. Not sure if you've been burnt before about not getting your escrow or something like that, but again, that's how we do it here. All right. So, Joe, don't forget, give us a call at 863-342-5171. We'll get you that information that you're needing, and we could take it from there. So, guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, hit that bell icon so you are notified when we drop videos. And also push that content in front of fellow owner operators. Help this algorithm grow a little bit. I would appreciate that. Thank you so much. Um, how do you handle after hours or weekend emergencies? Is there a dedicated 24/7 team, or is it call your dispatcher? Well, your dispatcher is your 24/7 team, right? And there are a lot of things when emergencies happen. So based on the emergency, it's going to depend on how many people are going to get involved in resolving and helping resolve your issue. So your first point of contact is your dispatcher. You talk to that guy or that gal every single day. So boom, that's the first phone call. And then they're going to assess the situation and disperse the information accordingly, right? So, hey, does safety have to get involved, right? Does the customer, the receiver, is it the receiver or is it the shipper that has to get contacted, right? So you don't lose a load. We're trying to minimize any type of losses. We're trying to minimize the damage, right? We're already in a bad situation. How do we condense it? And that's a real business decision right there, right? How do we minimize the loss of the situation? How do we gain as much control of it as we possibly can by working together? So the easiest way to do that is to be effective on the communication. So yes, you want to be talking to your dispatcher right there on the spot, 24/7. You know, I know in theory it sounds good to have like an after hours department, but in my years doing this, I've noticed that it doesn't really work out as smooth as that, because you start to talk to an individual who's just there, just kind of like going with the flow, doesn't know who you are, doesn't know what load you're on, has no idea about the details. um and so um and so here we go. Like that's the situation you don't want to be in, because now it's only amplifying the situation and making things worse. And are you even feeling like you're getting the help, right? Effective help. And the worst case scenario, I've seen people call after hours only to find out they didn't do anything except send an email, but emails only get read when during office hours. So you don't want to be in that position. So that's why we do it a little bit differently, because we're chasing results, we're being effective and efficient. So that's the way we do it. If I'm stuck at a receiver for an unreasonable amount of time, what specific steps will I take to resolve it? All right. So there's a couple things. Once you're at the receiver, the dispatcher now has to use their ingenuity, now has to use their wit, their cunningness to get you out of the situation, right? So part of it is to press the delivery time of we held our side of the bargain. You're there on time. We're going to suggest, depending how aggressive we have to get, man, find me a cross dock, because there is a reload waiting. So we're going to press that, just like he's a customer, we have other customers. We would not do that for you, as we're not going to do that for them. We got the other low. We got to move on. Nobody's really interested in $50 an hour of detention. We have to move. So you have to push these guys to get uncomfortable, because once uncomfortable happens, people move under pressure, right? If you're just too complacent or too relaxed about the situation, and allowing the broker to tell you that we're waiting on an email, and then like, let's give them 2 hours to think about it because Bobby's out to lunch, and when they get back, so fuck all that, man. Like, you press, hey, who's your manager? I want to talk to someone. We got to make a big deal about that, right? We gotta push that line in order to get you unloaded, because that's going to be the win. So whatever means necessary, that's what that dispatcher is fighting for. Okay. How often does your safety team review my logs and inspections? And do they provide coaching instead of just warnings? Yes, 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 yes. So this is actually, this is a pretty good question. Logs are reviewed daily, right? We're always scanning for problems. There's always room for improvement on everybody. So that's why we do it. It's from the inception of orientation. So in orientation, you're going to actually meet the person that reviews your logs. You're going to have a dialogue. You're going to talk about habits, bad habits, good habits. what is done, what is not, what is allowed, what is not allowed. Because you're going to find, right, that I know it's a sensitive subject, but like the PCs and PC yard moves and all that. Every company has just a different policy, a different procedure. So just because we understand it from the DOT side, you have to adapt to the policy from that carrier. So if they're doing things a little bit different, you want to learn what it is so you're navigating in that environment, productively. So that person for us actually sits in the same room as the dispatchers. So inside of that pit, and the reason for that is because that person is just got self-awareness and is listening and is getting, can hear that, hey, it's taking too long to load that guy. So boom, that's a perfect opportunity to actually go look at that guy's logs to see what's up. Maybe he left himself on duty accidentally. Maybe I got to do that split. So when the problem gets resolved, we have some time on our clock in order to give dispatch a better opportunity or different options for resolution. So now dispatcher can become more creative because they know exactly what has to transpire and how much time is going to be on that clock. So that synergy, that harmony has to happen. We look at it daily. We do go through those inspections, as you mentioned, and then that's the coaching. So we would say, look, in this situation, this is how this split happened. Uh, Not everybody knows exactly how to do 8 and 2s or the splits. It's not everybody fully understands that. So yes, we do have that department that coaches that, and it's not just warnings, warnings, warnings. It's about managing your hours of service better, because that in itself is an art, and that art ties you to your money, and so that's a direct outcome of your money. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe, push this share this content with fellow owner operators or owner operators to be. I'm sure they'll enjoy the content. And if you're not subscribed, make sure you get that done and hit that bell icon, and we drop videos Monday to Friday at 5 o'clock. So stay, or after 5 o'clock. So stay tuned for that. All right. Okay. Uh, can I directly contact your billing department if there's an error on my settlement, or must I go through my dispatch? All right, valid question. So again, remember, for those who don't know, in our orientation, you will meet someone from every department, and so you're going to meet the person that works in billing. And so the beauty about that, we're already establishing a relationship. We're establishing a line of communication, so you can call them directly. As a matter of fact, we just got a call actually today about something simple, but the owner operator had a question about settlement and asked for the billing person directly. That is so monumental to your business. We're not looking to complicate things where you can't get in touch with the right people. Again, we are solutions driven. Your dispatcher can get you the answer, but why not give you the resource so you can get your answer directly, and we fix the problem in under 3 minutes, rather than making it this entire project and involving 3-4 people in order to get a simplistic answer. So guys, so for sure you're going to have direct contact with the billing department so you can resolve any issues that may arise. All right. Okay, what is your escalation process if I feel I'm being treated unfairly by a staff member? We do have an open door policy. So you can, again, you're going to meet everybody in orientation, and get open the lines of communication at that point. So you will definitely meet those people, key players, during that process. So you got an ops manager you can talk to, you got myself, you got people in safety. There's plenty of people that can hear you and help you fix your problem. So that would be the level of escalation. And again, we're here to do good business, and so that wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so here we go, Melvin. Yep, I'm glad, man, that the answer was here we go, live and direct, guys. So glad you're glad we can help, Melvin. So here we go. Well, we're gonna direct the call and the person that can hit, because remember, guys, like, efficiency depends on that. And there will be some answers that sometimes you got to answer. I'll give you a call back because a little bit of research is done, but we truly believe giving you access to the person that is directly responsible for that, because now that person can actually solve a problem like right on the spot. It doesn't take 2 days to get a simple answer. None of that. Like let's get it resolved. Let's get trucking. Let's get things delivered. Let's get back to making money. So that's the key importance behind that. And again, the escalation process, you definitely want to have that open door. You want to have access to those people before something becomes a major event. So again, depending on your situation, you always have that open door policy. The point is, you don't want to let things brew, so then it becomes amplified. You want to get things out of the way as quickly as possible, and it's just business discussions. Nothing is personal. Um, Sometimes just two people just don't click, and so it may be as simple as switching up a dispatcher with the driver, and now the problem is solved, and nobody's carrying any weight on that. No one took it personal. It's just part of doing business. All right, so here we go with that. All right. Do you have a pathway for me to move into dedicated lanes? Yeah. So check this out. The way we do that is, all right. So we are, as I mentioned, a 100% owner operator based company, and what that's going to mean is I don't have company trucks to throw at dedicated work. So there's actually no forced dispatch. Now, what happens is we onboard an individual, boom, he's onboarding. We're searching, kind of, looking at what we're going to be doing. So, for example, we find a customer that's willing to do some dedicated. We're going to share with that individual what the rate would look like. We're going to make, and would he be willing, or she be willing to do it for that rate? So we're going to be very transparent on that, right? Because you got to be willing to do that. Then second, we got to look if it makes sense, because you're going to be dedicating your truck to that, right? Which also means your on-time service is going to be important. The freedom of saying, not today, goes away because you're dedicating your capacity. I'll be dedicating the trailers. It's got to make sense. How many trailers do I need into this mix for drop and hook, or whatever the situation is? So we're going to analyze all that. We've even had direct customer, all this drop and hook stuff and dedicated that we've had to let go because the rate just got too low, and then it doesn't benefit the owner operator. So again, we're in that working relationship. We'll make you part of offering that money, if that's what you're looking for. So we can actually say, all right, we found this. Would you do it for this price? Oh no, what would you do it for? And then I'll shoot it to the customer, say, hey, we'll do it for this, because now you're the one asking, right? They're either going to tell us go pound sand or yes, right? So you'll be part of that process. So it takes a certain individual to do so. So we can definitely do something like that. But it takes an individual, a dedicated person who is going to take care of that as well, right? So now it might be like my man Joe right here. So let's say you like that. We got that one truck on there. So, right, we got to keep your driver on that lane happy. And now they want to say, all right, I need 2 trucks on this. All right. So, hey, you get a truck. I'll put more trailers. Let's put a driver. And then that growth comes from within, everybody putting in work, everybody doing their part. And yeah, for sure. That's could definitely do that. We see that all the time, dedicated stuff, but it takes individuals to adapt to that. So there you go. Uh, how do you help owner operators reduce deadhead miles over time? So the number one is you're offered a trailer. So you're not like this power only individual running around using other people's trailers and deadheading to pick them up or deadheading to drop them off at specific locations. So that would be number one. Number two, not all deadhead is evil. If the rate is strong enough on the load you're picking up and it offsets that cost, I wouldn't worry about that. Look at the bigger picture. You're actually moving yourself out of a bad area or a less desirable area into a really good market, and you're keeping the wheels on your truck moving. So it's just your approach on that. Obviously, that can get out of control if that rate isn't strong enough. But again, not all deadhead is evil. You got to look at it a little bit different, but the person in control of managing that, your dispatcher, has to know what time it is, because if they don't know that, then it's not going to be a good outcome. All right. Good morning. Liked and subscribed. I appreciate that. Thank you so much. Goes a long way. Please, guys, join that party. Subscribe. Make sure you like. It helps the algorithm get this in front of the right people. Remember, because nobody's paying us for this, so that's what helps. All right. Where we at? Uh, Are opportunities for me to haul specialized freight like oversized hazmat? Nah, not really. Like I mean, I don't mean that in a negative way, but like I don't do hazmat. That's just a different ballpark. Here's the thing: slow and steady is going to win the race. The less complications you have out there, uh, the better it is for your business. Nice and steady wins the race. I mean, even hazmat. I mean, so many people that just let their hazmat expire. I mean, it sounds good in the beginning while everybody's getting it and like, hey, man, endorsement on here. That's cool. And I'm sure there's people doing that. I get that. But I have met more people that just say, man, I let that Joker expire because, whatever, $150 or whatever it is a year to update it. And I don't even use it. So most people are running around not even using it anyway. Um, but there you go. We do dry van, slow and steady, less complications. It's going to win the race. So that's what we do. Do you provide freight analytics so I can see what lanes are most profitable? Well, yeah. So once you're meeting with your dispatcher, it's all about your dialogue, right? Because if you start handing out Excel sheets to everybody, can everybody even digest all of that? So it really comes down to the relationship again between you and your dispatchers, setting first and foremost what are your financial goals. Part of that is if you're asking for something like that, you should also have the analytics of what is your cost per mile, what is the cost to do business per month, per week, per day. All of that should already be lined up in order to compare it to something like this. So you got to do a little bit of homework in order to bring that to the table and to get answers that are going to be appropriate to your question. So yeah, for sure, we're always down for questions like this. We even got Excel sheets that we can go through in orientation to calculate that cost per mile, and then we can run mock scenarios and what's going to be left at the end of the day and so forth. So yeah, for sure, we're definitely open to things of that nature. If I want to eventually get my own authority, would you support the transition or see it as a conflict? We're going to support that transition, give you as all the information that we have at our hands and can answer. We have seen that in the past. We've seen people go do it for themselves, which is always a win. We said that last podcast. That's kind of a badge of honor to see somebody do that. Obviously we're not going to be double brokering or anything like that, but you're going to you're going to go on your own and book your own loads and all that good stuff. But at the end of the day, um, that's always a win for someone. And again, there's a lot of people who started with that thought process, get their own authority, and then they kind of found this sweet spot running under someone because the headaches are less. And so then they found extreme value in that. I've seen people who continue to do it, one man army. I've seen people who did it and came back because they were like, nah, it's not everything is chalked up to be. Based on my behaviors and my habits, I rather do it. I rather run under you guys just because of this. I never knew the responsibilities that come, with having my own authority. Which is the insurance renewals. And again, I don't know the outcome just of yet, but like I got a guy who's potentially going to onboard because, his insurance dropped him. And they dropped him because he changed his license. Everything's based out of Connecticut and he got a license from Florida. I'm assuming there's a couple other things that must have transpired, but he got a letter in the mail. Yep, this is as far as we go. Start shopping around. Boom. So everything he's worked for right there. I know he had a few drivers with a couple accidents, a couple. It became a liability to that insurance company. So boom, here you go. David, good morning, brother, man. Yep, you're late. But thank you for joining, man. We appreciate you. Thumbs up, please. Smash that like button. I only got 7. Make it 8. Let's go, brother. Here we go. All right. So that's that. If I want to go to all right, let me where was the other ones? All right. So let me know in the comments what is it we're going down. How's it going this week, David? Any major anything you can share that we could talk about and learn from, or all your drivers that great that nothing went wrong? Help a brother out, man. What are some topics we could cover here for the people? Uh, Oh man, he went quiet on me. All right, guys. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. This content comes out after 5 o'clock, Monday to Friday. So make sure you pay attention to that. Uh, he needs some antidepressants for this week. So here we go. Somebody mail him some antidepressants. Uh, I wonder what went wrong. Here we go. All right. So anybody else out there want to share some information with us? I mean, we're always open, man. All right. So once again, as just a review, as guys are asking, what areas do we avoid or refuse to send trucks to? Don't touch California. We don't do any of that, and no Brooklyn, Queens, Manhattan. So nothing on that island. It's not even like I get a lot of guys that actually they're transplants in Florida from that Northeast and that New York, and they're used to something like that. But it's not so much that, like, let's say I don't trust an individual in that market. It's the people when you get there, man. All that happens is somebody hits you, and that's it, man. Everything that you thought you were making is gone. And so it's just easier to make money somewhere else. Nice and steady wins the race, less complications, and you're not dealing with a claim. You're not dealing with any of that. So there we go. Um, how do we handle the reloads? Are you pre-planned or scrambling? We talked about this as well. So you're definitely going to be pre-planned. How far out is going to depend on the individual, and how strong and committed you are to your business, right? So guys that you got two kinds of guys, man. Guys that you have to babysit, unfortunately, but it is part of the game. And then you got guys that you could pre-book them all week and you don't hear from him, and everything's on point. Pictures are coming in, signed BOLs are coming in, lumper receipts are coming. Everything is getting done, and then that's just that smooth relationship. So as a carrier, you have a little bit more flexibility with an individual like that. But again, we service all, right? It just not all of us are built equal. So we got a little bit of something for everybody. So that's how we do that. Um, are loads dispatched live, or am I expected to sit on in parking lots? No, no, you're not expected to sit in parking lots, not at all. The only time you're probably not, again, is it might be a unique situation that may have happened, where you don't know exactly what time you're going to be unloaded, because of something that may have happened. So already they're being diligent, and you're probably getting additional revenue for something like that. But again, it's kind of that unknown. We don't want to necessarily book something right now only to give it back. That will create more problems. It's going to do more harm than good. So it's just about strategy at that point. So it just depends. um so here we go. uh do I get access to my weekly earnings breakdown in writing? Yeah, for sure. So our settlements are so simplistic to read. There's only a few things that have to actually be reported for you to be able to handle this, right? One, what the broker's paying. So boom, you have original rate cons for yourself. So you have that exactly, right? So you have that. Plus it's on your settlement, right? And then you're paid at a percentage, right? 85% if you have your own trailer, 75% if you choose to use one of ours. So you're going to see that. And then you're going to have the line item of your deduction. So what is included in a deduction here at Voyager? It is the following. When you buy fuel, remember, we're giving you two different fuel cards to operate with. So what's going to happen is at the pump, you pay sticker, right? So technically the process is this. You're going to trip plan accordingly on one app, look at all the fuel savings and what you're going to be paying, open up the other app, take a look at that, and then you're going to pick the one that best serves you. All right, cool. So now you fill up. You're going to pay sticker at that pump. All right. So what happens is, you know, that's what you're going to see on your settlement, and the savings is going to be in right next to it, right? And then you're going to see what you paid minus the savings. That's what you're going to be deducted for. So everything there is in writing, and then it's going to come down to the $50 a week for the trailer maintenance fee, and then that is it. For the newer guys who are jumping on our plate program, they'll see the deduction for the plate. for the and the escrow. So those things will be there, but that obviously is only going to be for this first 10 weeks because that's how long it takes to, to get that out of the way. So again, so the options are there. Now, if an individual decided to get his own plates, obviously there'll be no deduction for that. So those two deductions are that plate deduction really depends on what the individual wants to do. So you have everything you need right there to calculate all your expenses and so forth. Now you actually have to know, how many based on your fuel. Now you can calculate, how many miles per gallon you're getting and all that good stuff. So everything you have is right there. And then every quarter you will see your if the deduction come out of your settlement. That is it. No hidden fees, no nothing. Everything I said right now is literally what you're going to be seeing on the settlement report. All right. And then again, we got, how our fuel discounts pass through. So 100% of it. I assume that's the question. How was the percentage of it? So we push 100% of the fuel right to the owner operator. I've even had people have the exact same app on their phone. They open their version of it based on whatever carrier gave them access to, and our version of it, I'm opening it up on mine, and we're comparing numbers. And every single time we offer better savings. So here we go. Pay attention to that. Do you charge for direct deposit? No, we do not. That direct deposit, guys, is going to be every single Tuesday. And so a lot of guys ask why on a Tuesday. So the reason we do Tuesday is for the following. So a lot of our guys are going to be doing that 34 over the weekend, whether it's at the house or or even if you're over the road. So ideally you want to be delivering Friday morning and then picking up your load, right? So that load is going to be 1,400 miles, depending on, who's driving and what the capacity is. So by mid, afternoon, sometime evening on a Saturday, you want to post up with enough to do your 34 over the weekend and deliver on Monday. So that puts you in a sweet spot that anything delivered on Monday from over the weekend will make that pay cycle. So it's going to make those loads. You did the time, you got the fuel. So we want that cash flow to go to you. So that's why you'll see that direct deposit on Tuesday. So on Friday mornings, you're going to actually see the breakdown of what everything is going to look like. Again, you're going to review it, make sure there's no errors. You have any questions, make the phone call. People are human. Let's say something as simplistic, might happen. We'll answer the question and get it resolved right away and provide some clarity. But that is the reason that we're doing it on that Tuesday, so we can have that cash flow going to you. Now, there is a hard line. Anything delivered on Tuesday will make the next pay cycle. It don't matter 1201 or what. It don't matter who you're going to call. It don't matter who the situation is. So we tell people in orientation, part of our transparency, if you're taking a load over the weekend and let's say it's a holiday and it delivers on Tuesday because they're closed, you have to be comfortable with that load getting paid out the following week. If not, do another load. So that's all part of the transparency, because what happens if you're not transparent and then you're talking about that and it wasn't delivered and this and that, and now somebody wants to get paid and they don't even have a signed BOL, you don't want to be in that. You don't want to be in that situation. So that's why everything is discussed in orientation on how to be effective. So pay attention to that, guys. You want to make sure that you know all those type of details, and that's the kind of stuff that you should be learning in the orientations, so that you are successful. All right. Again, what type of trailers do you provide? So again, guys, they're going to be 23s, 22s, 21s. They're all dry van. It's either utility or Wabash. That's what we run with. Top of the line bad boys. And it is $50 a week to cover the maintenance, brakes, tires, 90-day inspections. All that good stuff is covered under there. The only thing that is not is going to be negligence. All right. Are your trailers maintained in-house? Yeah. For the most part, for sure. We have a trailer mechanic on site who's taking care of those bad boys. So that gives, I've even had situations where, some guys in Florida picked up, let's say he had a, nail in a tire. Before he's heading out, runs through the terminal here, boom, NASCAR that bad boy, to dismount that tire, put a new tire, plug, whatever the situation may be, and he still goes about his business. Never had to do anything. Never had to get back the load, none of that stuff. So we can we can capture those moments that we can, and we control that situation as much as we can, well, we're going to do that. So that is definitely a win for you, and it keeps you moving. All right. What is your policy if my truck is down for more than a few days? We have guys who go on vacation and all that good stuff. That's not going to be the problem. We do have guys that go overseas for like a month or more. We do ask like, hey, all you got to do is park the trailer right at our facility, so it's one less thing you have to worry about, even if you have paid parking somewhere. The idea behind that is the following: I don't want anything happening to your truck nor my trailer. So I'd rather have my trailer in possession here and all is good. You can also park your truck here for free. We got a location here, and we also have a drop yard, plenty of space here rather. And we have a drop yard about 2 miles away, plenty of space out there as well. And so free of charge to you, not a problem. So here we go. That's how we would handle something like that. Now, what about if somebody is making like a major repair on their truck? There's a couple things. What we would want is, how long is this thing going to take? So I wouldn't want a trailer at your house or at that mechanic if this guy is taking way too long, because I have seen it go from 2-week repair to a 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks. So that's a long time trying to get that repair, if it's even ever going to get done. So we've been in plenty of situations. Obviously, if it goes past that magic number of 30 days, for that individual would have to requalify. We walk them through that. We make it painless, but nevertheless, we're compliant with DOT and the DQ file and all of that. Our team walks you through that. Not a problem. Sometimes shit happens, man. So we're here to help out on that. Guys, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Please post up some questions in the comments. We'll get them answered. All right. Do you offer cargo and liability insurance, and what's the rate on that? Guys, remember, cargo and liability, and when you're using our trailer, is part of that package deal. So there's no worries for that. It's all calculated in there. It's not in the deduction, nothing like that. It's in that 25%. So we keep it simple. Okay. I'm curious, what are guys paying out there? What do guys pay out there on a weekly basis for that cargo liability, whoever you're leased onto? What do they charge you? Put that up in the comments. I'd like to know. All right. If you're willing to share, do so. All right. Do you report to DAC clearinghouse if I leave? I don't have a choice. So I don't. What happens is the clinic will. So the way it works, for my guy who's ever asking, let's say you go on a pre-employment or you go on a random and you pop. What's going to happen is that MRO or the clinic actually has to report it directly to the clearinghouse. So the days of the carrier reporting it are no more. That clinic is going to report it directly. And so even if you leave or stay, it doesn't matter. It's going to get reported. And now it's not going to be a good day for you. So that's how that works. And then the clearinghouse is actually going to disperse their email to the appropriate carriers to say, hey, they won't even say you popped. They're just going to say that your clearinghouse status has changed. And now it is a responsibility of the carrier to contact and find out what has changed. They're going to contact you, get your permission to do clearinghouse and so forth. And that's how everything is going to start evolving. So again, not sure if you did pop or not, but that is how it works now. All right, hold up 1 second here. All right, so Tony D, they charge $100 at XPO, and that's $100 a week. There you go. All right, thank you for sharing, man. I appreciate that, Tom. For sure, man. I definitely appreciate that. So here we go, guys. $100 a week there. All right. And then, guys, just be careful, man. Go into that medical card. Let me just share that. Please, 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 owner operators to be or actually company drivers, whoever this affects you guys if you have a CDL. I got one of my guys who did everything right. But again, with this new medical card change where you no longer have to update and so forth, and they're making the actual clinics responsible to notifying DOT. Motor vehicle system or tax collector here in Florida, they're behind schedule. So it's taking like 2 weeks to update this. And meanwhile, my guy was pending suspension. So he was able to go down to Florida directly before he hauled out, because he stays out for longer than that. And he was able to address it. So keep an eye on that, my people. If you've recently updated your medical card, double check your status on it. Make sure it got done. Check out if you're pending suspensions. If you need help doing so, 863-342-5171 will gladly help you walk you through that, or actually get with your safety team. They should know. But if they don't, you're in the wrong place. You got to be with Voyager, 863-342-5171. We're here to help you out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Guys, once again, if you've recently updated your medical card, especially here in Florida, double check on the system. It's free to check it online, to make sure that it got done, whether you self-certified or not. Check out if it was processed, because you'll probably be surprised, like my guy was, that he's pending a suspension, and you want to take care of that before it amplifies. All right, my people, that is my show for today. Got to get to my day job. Please like, share, subscribe, do all that good stuff. It helps the algorithm put this content in front of the right people, and also put in the comments what you would like to discuss and any kind of questions, so that we can go and get some answers for you. All right. So thank you, everyone, for joining. I will see you next time, which is tomorrow, 9 a.m. Be safe, drive safe, and keep earning. All right, my people. Talk soon.